This is a moment that I'm sure you've all seen before. Game 1 of the 2001 NBA Finals, Sixers vs Lakers. Allen Iverson, arguably the most popular player in the entire NBA, was the lone offensive threat on a team that nobody expected to reach the NBA Finals, or have a chance in hell against a Lakers team that had not lost a single game in the playoffs yet. This was the most dominant playoff team in history, and once again, they were expected to sweep. Iverson, however, shocked the entire world. In Game 1, he dropped 48 points and handed the Lakers their first and only loss of the postseason. But there was no moment more iconic than this one. Not only was this the first time the world got to know who Tyronn Lue was, but also the defining moment of his career. Before he reinvented himself as a coach, if you showed any basketball fans a photo of Tyronn Lue, the first thing they'll recall is, wait, isn't that the guy who Iverson stepped over? But little did everyone know, defending Iverson on the biggest stage actually saved Tyronn Lue's career, and through the domino effect, it launched his coaching career as well. Had he not played in the finals, we would have never seen the guy ever again. How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and in this video, let's take a look at how a single, iconic blunder gave Tyronn Lue another chance to prolong his NBA career, and ultimately becoming one of the league's most underrated coaches.
Slam, dunk. Shaquille O'Neal and his foul.
And put back by Shaquille.
I'm gonna set the context for the Lakers' 2001 playoff run leading up to the finals. They basically obliterated everyone in their path, and to this day, it's still the most dominant playoff run ever. For example, in the conference finals against the San Antonio Spurs, a series that was supposed to be a highly anticipated competitive matchup that saw two powerhouse teams go at it, it turned into a complete annihilation. The Lakers not only swept them, but they beat them by an average of 22 points. Statistically, it was the biggest point differential of any conference final series in NBA history. The Lakers dog-walked every single team en route to the finals.
But there's Shaquille O'Neal. Oh, mercy!
On the other end of the spectrum, the Sixers had a rough time. For 3 straight rounds, they fought tooth and nail to grind out victories. Heck, even in the first round, they faced the Indiana Pacers, the team that knocked them out of the playoffs the previous year. Then followed by 2 7-game series against the Raptors and Bucks, which saw them get pushed to the brink of elimination.
On a beautiful 81-degree day in Southern California, they are ready for the start of the NBA Finals.
So entering the NBA Finals, the Sixers were bruised and worn down, especially Iverson, whose 6-foot, 160-pound frame was getting hammered every time he drove to the basket. As Game 1 of the NBA Finals commenced, there was no shot in hell the Sixers had a chance. At least, that's what everyone thought. While this David vs. Goliath story headlined this matchup, there was another storyline brewing in the back burner. A story that most folks were not aware of. It involved the much lesser-known 24-year-old benchwarmer Tyronn Lue. Lue was a complete non-factor for most of the playoffs, as he was averaging 7 minutes a game before the finals began, and most of those minutes were in garbage time, so you could say he wasn't even in the rotation at all. Through the course of this season, or actually several seasons with the Lakers, he never got consistent minutes. Considering this team was in the midst of their dynasty, they had no time to develop or test out unproven players with little experience on the biggest stage. What nobody realized, however, was that Tyronn Lue was the Lakers' secret weapon. As the team rampaged through the postseason with Lue getting minimal playing time, he was actually preparing, training in the background every single day to get himself ready for one single matchup, Allen Iverson. According to Phil Jackson, he made him do some weird stuff. First, he made sure that Lue was mimicking Iverson's moves during practice. He would make him watch film of Iverson and try to copy what Iverson was doing on offense. He did this as a way for Lue to get a feel for how to defend Iverson by becoming Iverson himself. Phil designated Lue as the Iverson stopper due to his appearance and build. He even sported Iverson's signature cornrows, which weren't as popular in the NBA back then. So by having Lue mimic and basically play like Iverson during practice, He also let the other Lakers players like Derek Fisher and Kobe Bryant try to defend Lue while he's playing like Iverson. Yeah, it was very strange. His thought process was if Iverson was facing a guy who mirrored him and looked exactly like him, he would have a tougher time against him. It was, well, quite a strange tactic of psychology. But this is Phil Jackson we're talking about, who famously used unhinged methods in practice to help his team win. Like, for example, during a practice, he once showed the film American History X and told his team to imagine the Sacramento Kings as Nazis. So these psychological methods that Phil employed were quite common, and Tyronn Lue was the focal point of this new experiment to stop Iverson. While Game 1 will forever be remembered as Iverson's arrival on the biggest stage, for Tyronn Lue, it was his first and only chance to establish a place in the NBA. He played 22 minutes in Game 1, the most of any game of that postseason, and recorded 5 points, 3 assists, and 5 steals. This was the most important game of Lue's career, and afterwards, he stated, "Phil told me the whole time this is why I'm on the roster, to stop the speedy guards on the other team and help us in practice. I thought I'd get an opportunity tonight, I just didn't think it would be this big." According to the play-by-play data from back then, Iverson didn't shoot much worse with him guarding him compared to the rest of his playoff run. He shot 39% when Lue was guarding him, but he also shot around the same for the rest of the playoffs. The difference was Lue was able to guard him face-to-face, one-on-one, without needing to call for help. Foot speed to foot speed, he was the only guy who can keep up with him. This allowed the rest of the Lakers' defense to play man-to-man and not worry about doubling him. Years later, Iverson admitted that he regrets stepping over Lue, as it was in the heat of the moment, and in reality, he respected his hustle and fearless attitude. By the request of Phil Jackson, he also demanded Lue, who's normally quiet and reserved, to start talking trash, get into Iverson's ear and damage him mentally. At one point, there was an exchange where Iverson complained to the refs that Lue kept bumping and grabbing him, to which Lue simply responded, "If you hit the weight room a little more, it wouldn't matter." Across the 5-game series, Lue saw the most minutes he's ever played, and it was the most relevant games he's ever played in the NBA. And other teams saw this. They saw this small, feisty defender and loved his attitude, and everyone wanted him on their own team now. He leveraged his 15 minutes of fame into a prolonged, lengthy NBA career that spanned 11 seasons, and even worked his way to being a starting point guard. Most importantly, his decade-plus career allowed him to create connections with upper management, with his coaches. And they started to realize, wow, Tyronn Lue is an incredibly savvy person with a great mind for basketball. In fact, in his brief time in Orlando, he developed a strong relationship with his coach, Doc Rivers. Shortly after Lue retired in 2009, he immediately landed a job with the Celtics to be their director of player development. Guess who recommended him? Yup, Doc Rivers, who coached the Celtics at that time. Then again, when Doc joined the Clippers, Lue became his top assistant. All of this eventually landed him his first ever head coaching gig with the Cavs, and now he's an established head coach, one of the better ones in the league. However, what most folks don't realize is, had Lue not gotten this opportunity to play against Iverson, his career would have been over for sure, and he would have never been recognized as the basketball mastermind he ultimately became, and perhaps never get the opportunity to prove his worth as the ultimate personality managing coach. Few coaches in history could consistently govern a team full of superstars with large egos, but Lue has done it several times already. Prior to the 2001 NBA Finals, his career was hanging on by a thread, and Lue explained why he was this close to never having all these opportunities. "Iverson making it to the finals really saved my career. If Milwaukee would have beat Philly, I wouldn't have played. So that could have possibly been my last year in the NBA. People don't understand that." In his first 3 years in the league, Lue only appeared in 61 regular season games. His place in the NBA was not just uncertain, but almost definitely would have been over if he wasn't assigned the task to guard Iverson. That was the last year of his contract too, and like he said, if Milwaukee beat Philly, he wouldn't have had a chance to show what he was capable of, and thus won't get any offers in free agency. And it was very close to being a reality. The Eastern Conference Finals between the Sixers and Bucks were quite controversial, to say the least, and the Bucks came so close to beating them. The result of his excellent showing in the finals? A 2-year, $3.6 million contract with the Washington Wizards, and a chance to become the permanent backup point guard for a team that could definitely use his intangibles. And you know what? He proved capable enough to handle that task, and equipped with a great three-point shot, Lue became one of the NBA's first role players designated as a 3-and-D point guard. At the time, Michael Jordan was the front office executive for the Wizards, and he fell in love with Tyronn Lue after watching him in the finals. And by fell in love, I mean he really did fall in love. Washington Post journalist Michael Leahy once claimed, "Jordan had an avuncular affection for Lue. He would rub the top of Lue's head with his hand lingering there." What? Apparently, Jordan thought of Lue as a player similar to John Paxson or Steve Kerr, undersized, feisty guards willing to fight back against players way more talented than they were. Perhaps that's the main reason why Lue was given such a large role on that team. But he excelled in his role and turned it into another contract, then another, and then another. Along with his prolonged career came all the experience of playing alongside marquee superstars with ginormous egos like Kobe, Shaq, Jordan, which built the foundation for his coaching career too. Very few coaches in the league can handle coaching a superstar, let alone multiple. But Lue, with all his experience playing alongside them, leveraged it into a fantastic coaching career. That's why, if you think about it, the best coaches in the NBA used to be role players, not former stars, because they can see the game from a different perspective and what it's like being a guy struggling to find his place in the league. So a person like Tyronn Lue is the ultimate example of a player having to scrap and claw his way to play just 10 minutes a game, while also observing what it's like to be the star of a team and the pressure that comes with it. Imagine your first ever head coaching gig was to coach LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, a super team. The pressure is insurmountable, and if the team wins, the stars get all the credits. If they lose, the coach is the first one to blame. For Lue to maintain his composure and coach with the utmost confidence, it says a lot about who he is and why he was destined to be a coach. Then he moved on to the Clippers, where he was coaching even more superstars. It's incredibly tough to manage all these egos and personalities, yet Lue is the perfect guy to do so. So at the end of the day, this iconic moment between Iverson and Lue should not be perceived as one of embarrassment, but instead the singular moment that made folks pay attention to him. And that's all, folks. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I'm thinking of making a series where I talk about some iconic moments throughout NBA history and explain the aftermath of those moments. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and of course, as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.